Welcome back, everyone. Costin here on Serious Gaming. Inquisitor?
Sir, I am...
Henry of Skalitz, from the garrison of the Royal Hetman, Sir Radzig Kobyla. I've heard a lot about you, my son. I'm pleased to meet you.
Bishop Yaroslav? Sir? My lord, to what do I owe your interest in my humble self?
I was told you survived the massacre in Skalitz and warned the Talmberg garrison. You tracked down the raiders of a stud farm in Neuhof, wasn't it? To their hideout in the woods. And then you led Sir Radzig and his armed company there and joined bravely in the skirmish, and even killed their notorious leader by your own hand. And I believe you have many other deeds to your name. That's quite remarkable, considering your age, is it not?
Well, you're too kind, Monsignor. I'm just trying to do what's right, and what's needed.
Quite rightly, too, my son. I expect we'll be hearing more about you. But I assume you didn't come here to exchange pleasantries. Or am I mistaken?
No, Monsignor, you're quite right. I'm here about Johanka.
Naturally. I'd be quite surprised if it were otherwise. So, tell me what's on your mind.
How did you find out about Johanka?
Word came to me of what was happening here. That some young girl was claiming to speak for the Blessed Virgin. I traveled here immediately, as my duty demanded, and observed events in Sasau incognito, in order to examine the matter at first hand.
I see. Why did you have her imprisoned?
Because she broke the promise she made to me, and persisted in actions that bear the signs of heresy.
And what will happen to Johanka now?
I must weigh the gravity of her transgressions, and investigate these alleged visions of hers. I consider it very improbable that she is indeed being visited by the Blessed Virgin. Nevertheless, I cannot at this time rule it out entirely.
So you think it could be true? In that case, Johanka hasn't done anything wrong.
It's not that straightforward. Even if her visions were real, she was at fault for interpreting them as she saw fit and preaching to the people.
When will you decide, Monsignor?
As soon as I am fully informed of the facts. Although it seems the matter is a little more complicated than I first thought. I will call Johanka and the witnesses, question them, and then pronounce a verdict.
And if you decide she's guilty, will you have her burned at the stake?
Good gracious, no. I have no wish to see her die. As St. Augustine said, heretics should be saved, not put to death. The triumph of the Church is their salvation, not their death, even if they deserve it. If I find her guilty of any heresy, she will be punished, but the severity of her punishment will depend on her will to repent and make amends.
I see. And will there be anyone there to defend Johanka?
Do you doubt my judgment?
I would never be so bold, sir. But surely it would be only just that someone should speak for Johanka about all her good deeds and so forth?
Naturally, I will also question those who would speak in her defense. Since you are interceding, I expect you have someone in mind?
Yes. Actually, me.
As I surmised. But this matter does not directly concern you. Why should I allow you to appear before the court?
Johanka is my neighbour, and I have a Christian duty to come to her aid. I can't just stand by and do nothing.
I have to concur with you on that. Your concern seems sincere, so I will grant your request. Very well. You will defend Johanka. You may speak in her defense if you so wish, and you may also bring witnesses. I will question any such witnesses, and naturally I shall question Johanka too.
Thank you, Monsignor. In that case, I'll need to speak to Johanka first.
That won't be possible. It's forbidden by the Inquisition procedure. Until the entire matter is resolved, Johanka can speak only to me and no one else.
But I have to talk to her. How can I defend her otherwise?
No, you are strictly forbidden to speak with her. I have already conceded to something that is quite beyond normal practice. Bear that in mind. I would like to expedite the matter. The trial will take place in Sasau Church in 3 days' time at the latest. Come and let me know when you're ready to proceed. In the meantime, I will continue my investigation.
Very well, Monsignor. I had better get on with it then, sir. Farewell.
Before you go, you know Johanka longer than anyone else. You spent a lot of time with her, as I've discovered. Tell me, my son, truthfully, what do you think of this whole affair?
Huh. Well, I'd say the developers are pulling my leg, but yeah.
About the Virgin Mary? I believe the Virgin does visit her. Johanka is honest. She wouldn't lie about such a thing. And the things she says sound truthful and compelling. It really does seem like a heavenly revelation. Who else could it be from? But the Virgin Mary.
The origin of these so-called visions of hers must be investigated. But thank you for your candor. Is there anything else you can tell me?
Johanka is an honest girl, and virtuous. She's a good Christian, who attends church and thinks of others.
Good. Please continue.
She's worried about Matthias. He's from Skalitz too, and she's very fond of him. But he was wounded in a raid on Merhojed recently, and since then he's been lying in a fever. Johanka believes that if she does what the Blessed Virgin wants of her, Matthias might be healed.
Interesting. Anything else?
Johanka helped a lot of people. She worked her fingers to the bone helping Brother Nicodemus with the sick and injured.
That is certainly commendable. What else can you tell me about her?
Well, before, in Skalitz, Johanka was sort of, well, just a simple village girl. I never imagined I'd hear her talking the way she does now. She's completely transformed.
A simple village girl. I see. Do continue.
Well, Sir Sebastian took a fancy to Johanka and made certain advances towards her. And I think she might have got involved with him.
Sebastian von Berg, the custodian? But to my knowledge, the man is married.
But it's all over now. She's finished with him, really.
So, the gossip about her fornication here is truthful. What else can you tell me?
Maybe. She didn't treat everyone equally. She took better care of her former Skalitz neighbors than of the other patients, of course.
It's understandable, yes. Some people are dearer to her than others, but whether by doing so she sinned. Anything else, Henry?
That's about all I can tell you.
Thank you, my son. One more thing before you go. Let me remind you that it's your Christian duty to report anything suspicious going on concerning the Church and the true faith, if you're aware of anything of the sort in these parts. If you prove yourself a commendable servant of the Church, I would also take that into account in judging Johanka's case.
All right, Monsignor. I'll bear that in mind.
See you later.
Can you tell me anything about Inquisitor Yaroslav?
Only as a myth, a dark fable, a horror tale told across the flickering embers of a midnight fire, wherever hardened warriors and minstrels gather, to drink and compete in tales of blood-chilling terror. And now bugger off. God be with you.
Brother Nicodemus.
You've heard something?
The Inquisitor has decided that Johanka will be tried, but he's agreed that I can defend her.
That's really quite unusual. It must mean he hasn't come to a clear conclusion yet.
Yes. I'll get her out of it.
I'm afraid it may not be that easy. The thing is, I expect Johanka will say the same things before the court that she's been preaching.
What are you saying?
Well, I've been thinking about what she's been saying, and it seems to me her preaching has a certain progression. Are you acquainted with the notion of the three orders of man?
Not really, no.
It's like this. It's said that everyone has their God-given place and purpose on earth. Laboratores, oratores, and bellatores. Those who work, those who pray, and those who fight. The common folk are born to work, to reap the fruits of the earth and to obey the laws of God and man. It is the purpose of the nobles to protect the people and the church against all dangers and to maintain peace and justice on earth. And the church in turn has the task of caring for the spiritual welfare of all, ensuring the salvation of their souls and bringing solace to the people in times of hardship, so that they can endure their earthly trials and enter the kingdom of heaven.
But what's all that got to do with Johanka?
Well, I noticed in her first sermon she primarily addressed the concerns of the common folk, and in the second she criticized the nobility.
Ah. So you think she might start talking about the church?
Yes, I'm afraid she might. I dread to think how that might end up. Henry, you must warn her against that. She must show humility before the Inquisitor, and the wisest course would be to admit to being wrong. She's rather stubborn, but perhaps she'll listen to you.
But the Inquisitor said no one's allowed to see her.
No one except the Inquisitor's own men. You'll just have to think something up. I'm afraid Johanka's fate is mainly in your hands now. I'm relying on you.
See you later.
Witnesses can be summoned for Johanka's trial. So I wanted to ask you if you'd give a testimony. Maybe some learned speech in her defense?
I'd be glad to do it. Johanka deserves my help. Such testimonies could carry a lot of weight. You should try and get as many as you can.
Good luck, then.
Adela, the Inquisitor is going to try Johanka in court.
Oh, Lord. I hope she's acquitted. I was absolutely devastated when they took her away.
I need people to speak in her defense, and I'd like to ask you to do it.
I don't want to go there. Really. I'm afraid of that Inquisitor. But you helped me, and so did Johanka. It's only right that I should try and help her. But what am I supposed to say there? I'm just a simple village girl. I don't know anything about these things.
That doesn't matter. You just be yourself. It should be enough to talk about all the good Johanka does here, and how she helps others. I'll send for you if you're needed.
All right.
Thanks a lot. I know about you and her. She told me everything.
Oh? What exactly do you mean? You'd better be very careful what you say, boy.
I know you're a married man, but you haven't always been entirely faithful to your wife.
How dare you!
And you had to pick Johanka. I know all about it. And you should know it's finished. Johanka was feeling vulnerable when it was all too much for her. That's all. She and Matthias care for each other, so leave them alone. She doesn't want to have anything more to do with you. And she won't.
How dare you speak like that to a noble? You, a blacksmith's brat from Skalitz. If you weren't in Lord Kobila's charge, I'd have you whipped for your lies and dragged behind a horse all the way to Ratai. But whoever you might be hiding behind, next time I'll do just that. Now get out! May the Lord watch over you. I hope I can be of some humble service to you.
I need something from you, sir. I suppose you heard that Johanka was locked up by the Inquisitor and is facing charges of heresy.
I did, and it's most disturbing news.
What you might not know is that he's agreed that I can defend her at the trial.
You? Do you even know what to say?
Sure I know. It'll turn out just fine. Trust me. But I need you to testify at the court. In Johanka's defense, of course.
Naturally. You don't think I could just sit here and do nothing? Besides, the bishop has already insisted that I appear before the court.
Oh. All right.
One moment. I apologize if I was a little hasty. This whole affair has left me anxious. I appreciate that you want to defend her. However, I don't think it would have any effect. No offense, but I don't think you'll be able to achieve anything in court. I'm afraid the Inquisitor will judge as he sees fit, whatever anyone says. But I have an idea how you could help.
Oh? How's that?
Flee. With Johanka, of course.
Huh. You might be right. But how? The bishop won't let anyone see Johanka.
Johanka is being held at the rat house, isn't she? You could pass yourself off as one of the Inquisitor's men, get in there at night, and escape with her.
How am I supposed to pass myself off as one of his men?
Well, when his guard came here, he identified himself by means of a document. If you could get your hands on it, think about it. But whatever you decide, if Johanka comes to any harm, you'll have me to answer to. I'm very fond of her, and her of me, and I don't want anything to happen to her, understand? But if everything ends well, I'll show you my gratitude, I assure you. Farewell.
I need the document from the guard if I'm going to be able to talk with Johanka herself. This is where it gets complicated, doesn't it? I probably have to come here at night in order to succeed here. And I have 3 days, too.
Vegetables! Fresh vegetables! Look, smell.
Hey, clear off. No one's allowed to talk to Johanka. Bishop Yaroslav's orders.
I know. I was just testing you. And you passed. I'm with the bishop's entourage, and I'm here at his command. Let me in to talk to Johanka.
In that case, you surely know that everyone who comes from the bishop has to show a document to prove it.
Good, good. Your diligence is commendable. I don't have the document on me at present, though. I left it at the monastery.
Sorry, sir. We'll have to go and get it. I can't let you in otherwise. I wouldn't want to anger the Monsignor.
Of course. And you can actually read, can you?
A little, sir, yes. That's why they put me here.
Very wise. You're clearly the right man for the job. Very well. I'll be back soon with that paper.
Take care.
Master Bailiff, Inquisitor Yaroslav is going to try Johanka.
I know. He was here asking questions, too.
Oh? What did he want to know?
Various things. Like how things are here, whether people are honest, whether we observe the fest days, and so forth. And then he asked about Johanka. About what she preaches, whether people come to listen to her and that. He's been talking to a lot of other people in Sasau, too. I even heard that Katra, the swordsmith's wife, invited him to dine with them.
That's interesting. Thanks for telling me. Was he just asking questions, or does he want you to testify before the court?
Yes, he did ask me to testify, and I'm none too happy about it.
I see. And what are you going to say about her?
It depends what I'm asked, but there's not much I can say. I don't know Johanka very well. She seems virtuous and self-sacrificing to me. She's never done anything wrong, and no one here ever had a cross word to say about her. Until recently. Maybe some gossip about her and Sir Sebastian. But I've heard similar talk about half the women folk here.
Johanka has helped a lot of people here, selflessly. Her heart is in the right place.
True. But then there's that preaching of hers. Folk have been falling out. They're split according to whether they believe Johanka or not. I don't know quite what to think of it myself. But I don't want to jump to conclusions. I'll wait and see what the learned bishop has to say.
Couldn't you add something good to your testimony for Johanka? I would, show my gratitude substantially.
What? Are you trying to bribe me to commit perjury? The Inquisitor will hear how you're going about defending Johanka.
Good Lord, no. I wouldn't dream of it. I expressed myself badly, that's all. What I was trying to say, rather clumsily, is that I'd be very glad if you were to speak on Johanka's behalf, because she really deserves it.
Well, I'll overlook your clumsiness then.
Thank you, Master Bailiff.
Good luck to you.
For them till redemption, and while you live from hand to mouth.
Well, I never. The pig
I need your help with
turns
something.
up willingly for the
I'm sure you've
farmer.
heard. Johanka was locked up by the Inquisitor.
Who hasn't? The whole of Sasau is talking about it. And the Inquisitor was asking around about her.
I'd like to ask you to appear before the court and say something in Johanka's defense.
I can't say I'm keen on going there. But Johanka helped me. And you did too. I think it's only right that someone should say something good about her.
Ah, thanks, Guta. I appreciate it. I'll send for you when it's time.
God be with you.
They shall not find eternal peace.
Bring it on. What the?
What the fuck would I pay in? So my sins are forgotten? Hallelujah. I have coin. And I have ways of getting even more coin. So it doesn't matter.
Father, the Inquisitor has had Johanka thrown in jail.
I know, son.
He's planning a hearing.
Rightly so. It's about time this whole matter was dealt with.
What do you think about it, then?
As I say, it's a good thing that the matter is being investigated. The things Johanka has been preaching are, to say the least, disturbing. Who knows what these dreams are that she speaks of? And her words are only putting ideas in people's heads and leading them astray. Now, instead of going to church, as they should, they go to her in the false belief that they will find solace. It's creating a chasm between the people and the church and leading them away from the true teaching left to us by Christ. They're misguided and swamped in heretical ideas.
But Johanka is only saying what the Virgin Mary has told her. What can be wrong with that?
And how do you know the Virgin is really talking to her?
Well, I believe she's telling the truth.
Ah, but you can't be sure, can you? Do you really think a girl from the stable knows God's teaching better than the church? Better than the generations of church fathers and learned scholars since the time of Christ, who have studied the sacred scriptures and their correct interpretation? With all the evil that's already going on in this province, the last thing people need is a false prophet.
Christ also came from a stable, though.
There's no comparison. Christ was the Son of God. Enough of this. Bishop Yaroslav asked me to present my suspicions before the court, and that's what I intend to do. He will then resolve the whole matter. He is, after all, more qualified than anyone to do so.
If you say so, Father.
Goodbye.
That donation to the church, did it help?
Indeed. Bonum commune is a prerequisite, if not the very meaning of existence of our Christian society. It expresses not only an interest in the common welfare and order, but also solidarity with the poor and needy. Once again, I thank you.
See you later.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm here about Johanka.
You're that fella of hers, are you? What do you want?
No. I'm just a friend of hers. Matthias is her fella.
Huh. God knows how many she has.
I heard you invited Bishop Yaroslav to come and dine with you?
Yes, so what? Bishop Yaroslav is an esteemed visitor to Sasau, and it's only fitting he should be suitably hosted by devout burghers.
What have you got against Johanka?
Nothing. The question is, what has she got against us? Tell me that.
What?
She turns up here and tries to tell us how to live our lives. Says the Virgin Mary whispers to her in the night. Yeah, I'm sure. To a simple village wench. I'd like to know who's really putting those ideas in her head. She's just getting people all worked up. Men, especially. Coming around here with her nonsense. Sasau is a decent, orderly place, I'll have you know. We don't want any trouble here. All this talk about hellfire and the end of the world. God have mercy. No one is interested in what she has to say. All they want is some spectacle. She ought to have thought twice before she started. Not that she wasn't warned.
What do you mean, warned?
As I said, she was told.
Damn it, woman, tell me what you meant by that.
I didn't mean anything by it.
Out with it!
If you must know, some of the fellas want to have it out with her and tell her to stop. No one wants her speeches here. But would she listen? No. The devil possessed her to bring harm to us.
So it was you who sent those men?
All I wanted was to protect the Sasau folk against her poisonous tongue. And I'll do just that. The Monsignor asked me to testify in court. And I'll tell everything I know there.
And I'll do likewise. Farewell.
Go. God bless.
Yeah!
Jesus Christ.
I'd like to...
And what is it?
Yep.
I'm... God be with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Goodman Pavel, you're still here. That's a relief. I was afraid I'd miss you.
Yes, still here, but not for long. I had some business to deal with, but now that's out of the way and I'm getting ready to leave. What was it you wanted?
You might have heard that Johanka was arrested by the Inquisitor and is facing trial.
Indeed, word has reached me. Poor girl.
I'd like to ask you to speak to the court in Johanka's defense.
Of course, Henry. You have my word. And the word of a burgher of Colleen ought to mean something. But to speak in defense of someone accused of heresy is no small matter. What do you want me to say?
The same thing you told me. That it was a sacred sign that you happened to be nearby when Johanka was speaking, and so on.
True. I'll tell the bishop that. You can rest assured.
Thank you very much. Please wait here a few more days for the court to convene, then I'll send for you.
All right. For Johanka's sake, I'll wait. Good luck, then.
Okay, I will have the trial. Should I actually try like this, or should I change it around? There's a decision, right? Yeah, fuck it. You know what? I will actually have it. What I need to do basically is wait until evening so I can go in and I can steal the document. Then I need to wait until morning so I can turn said document in, and I can then talk with Johanka and try and find some strategy with her regards that. Actually, I could wait until morning regards to, you know, save again after I talk with before I talk with Johanka, but after I get the document, since I need to wait until morning anyway to be able to speak with her. It is a bit against the usual stuff, but yeah. A trial of heresy is no small feat, by the way. By the way, I know it's dark with the settings I'm playing on. Too dark in some respects. But then again, this game is about not really being able to see in the night. But it's somewhat exaggerated by the fact that I'm using a reshade. I mean, it's mostly fine, but any area inside is just gonna be a problem. Okay. So here's what I'm gonna do. Okay. Right, back to the tavern. I'll wait until morning.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Let's see if I can get in at night.
Here's a document. See?
Show me that? That's fine. Thank you, sir.
Good luck then.
Johanka, are you alright?
Yes, Henry. I'm fine. I'm glad to see you.
I spoke to the Inquisitor. He wants to put you on trial.
I know. It's all in God's hands now.
No, it's not. I mean, it is, of course. But the bishop has allowed me to defend you.
You want to defend me? Thank you, Henry, that's very kind of you. But you needn't bother. Our Lady won't let anything bad happen to me. I am her instrument, and I am completely in her hands. Everything that's happening is her sacred will.
But I won't stand by with my arms folded. You need someone to testify for you. As I said, I will defend you.
If you insist. Maybe it's the will of the Virgin that you came to me. So be it then.
I went to Ujits, like you asked.
That's good, Henry. I hope you purged yourself of your sins.
I did the pilgrimage of penance, like you said. And in the church, I begged the Virgin Mary for forgiveness.
And she will bless you, Henry. You're a good man. Remember that. And don't stray into wrongdoing again.
I won't. I made a donation to the church, too. And the parish priest there, Father Godwin, he was asking about you.
Was he? What did you tell him?
Oh, just about everything that's going on and the things you were saying. He was quite moved by it, to tell the truth. He even gave me some writings.
You see? Maybe Our Lady is giving you a sign too.
What did Bishop Yaroslav ask you about?
All sorts of things. Like how the Virgin Mary visits me, what she shows me, and about preaching to the people. Actually, he was really quite pleasant. He asked me about Skalitz, whether I go to church, and a lot of other things. And in the end, he told me I mustn't speak in public again about the visitations and that. But I couldn't obey an order like that. The Blessed Virgin is testing me, and I have to do what she asks, no matter who or what stands in the way.
I'd say he wasn't too happy about that.
No. He came there with his men, dispersed the people, and had me arrested and locked up here.
Johanka, I really don't think this is going to end well for you. But there's another option. We can flee. I'll lure the guard away, pick the lock, and we'll vanish into the woods. Tonight, we'll run far from here, where no one knows you, and you can start a new life.
No, Henry, I can't do that. The Blessed Virgin led me here, and here is where I belong. I won't run away like a criminal.
About that trial?
Yes, the trial.
I'll get some people who will testify for you in court. But Brother Nicodemus is worried you'll say things that will make the Inquisitor angry. Please don't do that. You have to talk to him respectfully, answer his questions with humility, and not say anything to annoy him. And don't say anything against the church or priests. Please.
I'll say only what the Blessed Virgin wants me to say.
Johanka, please. You mustn't say anything against him or the church. Be contrite. Maybe even admit you might have been wrong about some things. I don't think the Inquisitor is so bad. If you submit to him, he'll drop the charges.
You too now. You're speaking exactly the same as his assistant. The two of you joined forces against me, did you?
I've nothing to do with him. I didn't even know he was here. Believe me, I'm really trying to help you.
You don't believe me anymore, do you?
I do, Johanka, I believe you. But in court, you must speak reasonably, prudently. A lot depends on it. Maybe even your life.
I appreciate your concern for me, Henry, really, I do. But you must understand. I can't deny that the Virgin Mary visits me, or what she wants to tell us. Not now. After everything that's happened, I can't. Otherwise, she won't heal Matthias.
But you have to consider yourself and what's good for you. Surely you don't want to be convicted of heresy? That won't do anyone any good, neither you nor Matthias.
I've already told you. Everything is in the hands of the Blessed Virgin. I will accept with humility the fate she grants me.
Oh, Sakra. This is going to be a right mess.
Oh, yes. Well, ask yourself. You know what? I'll say this, as much as I hate that fucking show. I'm reminded of Game of Thrones. If you truly believed that you were destined for greatness, if you truly believed that you were meant to save the world, and that you were a chosen one, would you be willing to listen to reason, or would you do as you saw fit? And that's by Tyrion Lannister, Varys, I think it was, in relation to Daenerys. And it's true. And this is pretty much the same case here. But really, there's so many notes about Joan of Arc here that it's kind of hilarious. I don't know if there's anything related to history in this case. I really don't know. It could be. Could very well be something related to history. I have no clue.
I spoke to Johanka.
And did you manage to convince her?
I'm afraid not. She's stubborn. She says she answers only to the Blessed Virgin.
Oh dear, Henry. That's not good at all. What about her family? Doesn't she have a relative she might listen to?
No. None of them survived the raid on Skalitz.
She has no one at all left in the world? Poor child.
What actually happened here?
Johanka told me you went to Auschwitz.
Yeah.
He had a but before... It is...
Goodbye.
Matthias? You're better.
Henry? Is it you?
Yes, it's me. Who else would it be?
Oh, I'm glad you're here, Henry. I feel a bit better now. I'd even like to eat something. I must tell Johanka. She'll be glad.
Johanka's not here.
Oh? Where is she?
How to begin? Look, things got a bit complicated here. The main thing is... Johanka is in jail, awaiting trial.
What? What happened?
Well, she claims she's being visited by the Virgin Mary and seeing visions, and she was preaching to people about it. But this Inquisitor heard about it and came to investigate. He locked her up, and he's gonna try her for heresy.
What? The Virgin Mary? Visiting Johanka?
Yes. So she says. Trouble is, Johanka is very obstinate, and she's likely to say things in court that will just make it worse for her. Listen, Matthias, I need you to go with me and talk to her. Maybe together we can convince her to see sense.
I wish I could. But I'm still too weak to even get out of bed. I'm sorry, Henry. I just can't do it. You know what? Tell her I'm feeling better, and I agree with everything you tell her. Give her this dice. She'll understand. It'll almost be like I was there with you.
Dice?
Oh. It's a long story. Johanka knows all about it. Or you can ask Teresa, too.
All right. If you say so.
Henry, please, look out for her. And make sure nothing happens to her.
I'll do my best.
Take care.
Yeah.
Okay. I might need some food soon enough, by the way. Nourishment is going down 65%. I'll probably also need to take a bath at some point, maybe. Assuming my clothes aren't too dirty. Which is just fucking annoying if you ask me, that they get dirty. I mean, I don't know about you, but my clothes don't get fucking dirty the moment I go outside and take a short stroll. And that's really what I've been doing here. But Henry feels like he's not taking a short stroll. Henry feels like he's flinging himself with mud and dirt. Like, obviously there's dust and all that, and that's not an insignificant factor, but still.
About that trial?
Yes, the trial.
I spoke to Matthias.
What? But he's lying in a fever, isn't he?
No, he's much better. He asked about you. He wanted to come here, but he's not strong enough yet.
Oh, that's wonderful. You see, Our Lady helped him. And now, I have to do my part.
But doesn't it mean that you've already done your part?
Well,
What would be the point of it all if the Inquisitor were to have you imprisoned now? Or even worse?
It's a message. A final test. I mustn't fail now, after everything.
But you already passed the Virgin Mary's message on. Many people heard it, and many of them have amended their ways. You certainly haven't failed. Look, Matthias gave me this for you, and he asked me to tell you to look out for yourself.
Thank you, Henry. Go now. I need to rest.
Okay. Now here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to fast travel to the monastery. Probably gonna need to go back to the Endo to save and also spend some time, because obviously the trial is gonna have decisions will have consequences, and the way this whole thing plays out will depend on the kind of choices that I will make here.
Yeah.
I can't see 2 feet in front of me, so that's good. Ouch.
Yeah.
Wait, what? There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Okay, that's done. So now just maybe go pay a short visit to the bathhouse, get cleaned up, and then go for the trial. Anyway, Costin here signing out.